Okay, before we go ahead with today's pages, I got an email from Drew that speculated that whole Doc paints green and feels better thing was a joke added in by Gipe, because Doc had already painted the canvas red, and what does red plus green make? Brown. Like Doc Brown. Ha ha ha, oh my god. You guys, I'm torn between we are staring too deeply into the abyss and finding patterns that aren't there, and oh god what if this is true and the book has become so crappy that my brain is now rejecting it and insisting that there's got to be some unknowable yet non-crappy explanation for everything within? Bottom line, the abyss stares also, I guess. I will say this now. If there's a future scene where Doc sees a fly land on McDonald's burger and nudges Marty McFly and says remind you of anyone? Then I am abandoning this blog. So, back to the story. Marty doesn't want to be trapped in 1955, but Doc red and green combined subtractively says to look on the bright side. He could have been sent back to 1. The Dark Ages.
When you'd have to spend half your time dodging barbarians.
2. During the Black Plague. 3. The early 19th century.
When there were no anesthetics, no television, movies.
But instead he's here, where we've got
3D movies, high-fidelity music.
We all know how big Marty is into sound reproduction.
Frank Sinatra, instant coffee.
And Marty shoots back that 1985 is awesome because of 4. Compact discs. 5. MTV. 6. Birth control. 7. Burger King. And I love this because Doc says,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Which has got to be true, and also, yay, a Burger King shout out. Then Doc raises a pretty good point, especially for someone during the Cold War.
But this time is so much safer. Here, you know there'll be a 1985. In 1985, do you know there'll be a 2015?
And it's a nice moment, ruined in the next moment when Marty says he's got a girl waiting for him in 1985, and shows Pervy Book Doc, who packed a Playboy to take with him to the future in case there wasn't anything good to Jo within 2015. And Doc ogles Jennifer and declares her
not bad.
Jennifer Parker, a solid 7 out of 10. Anyway, foreshadowing ahoy because Marty is basically begging Doc to get 1.21 gigawatts of power, and Doc says,
but the only power source capable of generating 1.21 gigawatts of electricity is a bolt of lightning.
Like in the movie, but of course keeps talking.
And not a minor league bolt, either. It would have to be a real wall shaker. Something big enough to stop a clock.
Big enough to stop a clock. Oh god. Doc, what does that even mean? So, whatever. Doc mentions the bolt of lightning. Movie version.
What did you say? A bolt of lightning. Unfortunately, you never know when or where it's ever gonna strike. We do now.
Book version.
Marty snapped his fingers. Ah. Doc Brown said. You've had an idea, but you forgot to say eureka.
Oh god.
Maybe it's not a eureka type idea, Marty replied. It just occurred to me that if we could use a lightning bolt for energy. A reasonable thought, Brown interrupted.
Yeah, especially since Doc just said the only power source capable of triggering that kind of energy is a bolt of lightning.
And quite practical except for one thing. You never know when or where a bolt of lightning is going to strike. Of course, you've got to start by waiting for an electrical storm. But even then there's no assurance a bolt will even get close enough to use as a power source. Marty waited patiently for him to finish, then smiled.
May I just say how it's amazing that even the characters in the book are now aware of how long-winded everyone is? It's this much amazing, kinda.
Except that I know when and where a bolt of lightning is going to strike. You do? I do indeed. He turned over the piece of paper on which Jennifer had written her note. It was the flyer given to them by the lady for the 1985 Clock Tower Preservation Campaign. At the very top of the sheet was a replica of the 1955 newspaper headline which read, Clock Tower Struck by Lightning. Clock stopped at 10:04. Underneath was the date, Sunday, November 13th, 1955. Now it was Doc Brown's turn to snap his fingers. "Eureka?" Marty asked. "Eureka, yes," Doc Brown replied, nodding several times. "You're right. This is the answer. Since the newspaper came out on Sunday, it means the clock will be struck next Saturday night."
It feels like I'm being mean to a sad puppy who has already had a pretty rough go of it lately to point this out, but there are literally fewer words in the movie version than there are complete sentences in the book version. I'm so sorry.
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future!
With a bang. "This calls for a toast,"
Doc says, busting out the title drop and some glasses. Marty is down for drinking, but they're toasting with water, and doesn't Doc know that if you toast someone with water they're doomed to a watery grave? Or maybe he does know?
"To me. To you. To Ben Franklin. And to your girlfriend for writing this note." "I'll drink to all of that," Marty agreed. They drank silently. "Yeah, Jennifer's really great," Marty smiled.
I love Book Marty for being so awkward here. First he shows Pervy Doc her picture and then he brings the conversation around to her again. "Looking for authority figure approval of your lady friend, Marty? Doc already said that she's not bad, what more do you want?" Anyway, Doc does his "you'll have to stay here to prevent serious repercussions to the future" bit and we get some patented Gipe quotes.
Marty didn't really accept Doc Brown's notion that he was such a threat to society.
But all the good stuff is on the next page, so here we go. In about 24 hours. This post will be more satisfying in the future when you don't have to wait 24 hours to turn the page.